Good morning, Bitcoin. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is Proof of Work. We're joined by Dan Eve, the CryptoRaptor, creator of songs like Hotel Polynexia, the Crypto Rap, and the Nodal Rap. How's it going, Dan? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Thomas, it's going great, thanks.
Welcome to the very first episode of Proof of Work, a show about the people behind Bitcoin and what they do, and more importantly, how they got into Bitcoin. So let's start out with everyone's favorite and most familiar question. Dan Eve, what was your first computer?
My first computer was a Amiga 500. I think it might have even been an Amiga 500 Plus, and yeah, I used to love playing around with I think it was Cubase at the time. I'm sure we coded via Cubase. Me and my cousin, he taught me how to code on this application, and we just kind of all we did was make it insult you. It was just line after line. It would ask you a question, and whatever answer you gave, it would throw something random at you. Yeah.
So it was an Amiga with QBasic. Did you have line numbers when you coded in BASIC?
I can't remember. I can't. It was so long ago. I mean, about 30 years ago.
They did eventually get rid of line numbers. They were a horrible way to program. But you'd go 10, 20, 30, and you'd have to leave space in between in case you had an extra line. You had to go back and add line number 11 or line 12. But an Amiga, that's interesting. So it was during the time of Amiga. So it was a kind of Apple's, PCs, Amiga. What was the choice that led you to an Amiga?
I think, to be honest, I think it might have been kind of pre-home PC, before home PCs kind of became affordable. And even I remember upgrading the Amiga 500, which had, I think it was 512 kilobytes of RAM, which is savage when you think about it now. But I just used to, play games, and I remember Workbench, that cool kind of picture of, putting the disc in, or at least it started off as a picture and then it evolved into the disc moving.
And what kind of disc was it? Was it a floppy disk or a what we called a hard disk, a 3.5, or was it a 5.25?
Oh, it was a 3.5. Yeah, 3.5-inch floppy.
Oh, that's pretty high tech. That's a fancy technology there. Could hold a lot more data, fit better into your pocket, much tougher in that plastic case, right?
It was indistinguishable from magic for anyone 10 years before.
So did it have a hard drive, or you just put the discs in, or a hard drive?
Do you know what? I think, I don't know if it had a hard drive. I've got a feeling it's all disc, because you had to swap a lot of discs, and then Mortal Kombat came with like multiple discs. And that was quite a task, not quite as hardcore as a Commodore 64 and waiting for the tapes to be read. But it was definitely slow, and it's kind of weird when you look back now and think how you kind of tolerated waiting so long. It's, oh my word, if I was as impatient back then as I am now, then, oh geez, that Amiga would have gone through the window.
It is all about the waiting. I remember when a friend of mine got the Pentium chip, and I still had a 486, and we used to play TIE Fighter, the sequel to X-Wing. You could fly as the enemies, the Imperials, and it was okay on mine. I thought it was fine. I went over and tried his. It was so fast. It moved so much better. I went back to mine, and I realized what you're saying. It's all about this waiting. You wait 5 seconds for WordPerfect to load. You wait 10 seconds for Photoshop to load. You get a new computer, it goes down to 8. Goes down to 3. You start to see these minuscule notes. You're like, oh, I was used to waiting 2 or 3 minutes here for my program to load, and now I'm in the program. And we completely take that for granted these days. No one realizes how little we wait for incredibly complicated programs. You can run almost anything in Chrome, and yet it pops right up just like a little program.
Yeah. I think actually you mentioned 486. I think my first actual PC was if I remember rightly, it was a 586 Cyrex or Cyrex.
Of course, the competitors to Intel and the Pentium. Yeah, interesting times. AMD, Cyrex, and Intel, 3 chip companies. Yeah.
I don't know how long it took Cyrex to kind of disappear, but I remember at the time they were saying, well, it's better than 486, but then there was a new Pentium, and you're like, oh damn, I'm kind of I'm going for the cheaper one, but hopefully it will hold up against this new technology. And I could have really done with that extra 0.75 seconds on the load, but I'll deal with it.
Well, and when you got your PC, did you build it yourself, or was it a pre-built computer?
It was pre-built, yeah. It was like I think it was, I can't remember what company it was, but they'd bust now, something like Tempo or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I used to build mine back in the day. The first one came in built by someone else, but yeah,
Yeah.
so what did you do with the computer? What did the computer lead you to? You started out playing games, you got your own PC a little later. What kind of applications did it, you know, did you become fully into it, or what did you do next?
Well, it's funny because I was actually using the Amiga 500. Well, it's not actually that funny at all. But I was using the Amiga 500 when I was at like primary school. I realised that I hated writing. I wasn't good at it. My handwriting was mocked. It was like a doctor, but I'll never be a doctor. So that kind of wasn't working out for me. But I realised that I was fast at typing, and I realised that the more I typed, the faster it got. So I actually remember printing off, assignments in my sort of what they call primary school before I hit secondary school, and I was printing them off on a dot matrix printer. And it's actually my mum that kind of got me really hooked up to computers, because she did a computing course, back when I was a kid, and she was kind of teaching me this stuff, which is really cool. When I think about it, my mum was the one that taught me about computers. My dad now still, I mean, it took me years to get him onto a smartphone. He was still stuck on the smaller the screen, the better. And so eventually I hooked him up with an iPhone. But my mum got me started on computing and realizing that there's these efficiencies that these machines have. You've got this manual way of doing something, and then you've got the typing way. And typing was just so much faster. And I thought, more time to play if I type faster or do my assignments faster.
I remember I used to hunt and peck, but I didn't like to use the shift key. It was too complicated. So I would put caps lock on, then I would turn in my papers all typed in caps lock and just pretend that I didn't know how to turn off caps lock, and that this is just how computers and how typewriters worked. And you just have to read it in all caps. And
Yeah,
back then, if you turned in a typewritten or not a typewritten, a computer paper, because one of the things that's important to distinguish here is people had actual typewriters that were typewritten. I was
yeah,
talking to my parents the other day, and they said how easy it was if you wanted to apply for a job. You fed the application into your typewriter and turned the wheel till it lined up, and then you typed your name in and you typed the application. And we were talking about how different that would be today. If you did that, you'd be some kind of a hipster. And you're like, I prepared a beautiful typewritten resume, hand typed. And like how that's such a luxury now, this hand typed, whereas before it was like, of course it was typed. How else would you do it? You
yeah.
wanted someone to read it. You wanted it to be universal. And I read this book about the typewriter. They went through so much to get it the way it was, where it was visible and you could see what you typed. Came so far, and then for it to be completely eclipsed and replaced by the computer, because the word processor, like you're saying, you could cut and paste, you could move things around, you could have different thoughts. Really opened it up. But so you got to the computer, you found out you didn't like handwriting, and you replaced it with typewriting. Where did it go from there? How did that lead you into crypto rapping and songs and such?
Well, from the poetry side, like the rapping side, it was when I was about, I don't know, again, it was in junior school at some point, and I wrote a poem. I can't remember what it was about, but I wrote it, and a kid nicked it off me and handed it in to the teacher as his. And not only was the writing obviously not his, but she didn't believe me, and I was like, "Yo, look at this evidence." Obviously, I wasn't saying it like that. I was a kid. I was like,
You're like, come on, the poem's called Dan, Dan. It's pretty obvious. The kid's named Joe. Oh, come on.
but she just didn't acknowledge it, and I kind of got told off for lying, and it was kind of almost at that point that I lost my faith in humanity, authority, and realized that you can put evidence in someone's face and they will be ignorant to it for whatever reason. So I don't know. I never found out what the reason was, but my poem was taken away from me, and so I kind of stopped for a long while. Until eventually I sort of hit school, and then wrote a few sort of poems then as part of sort of language classes, and then yeah, it just went for a bit of a break until I actually started rapping in crypto. But certainly from the kind of the computing side, I actually I pulled out of college. I pulled out of maths, and I think there was one other core subject that my mum really wasn't happy with. And I came home one day and said, I'm doing performing arts. And that really ticked her off. And I kind of actually moved away from using computers. I actually thought at the time that the computing industry was going to be oversaturated. And again, there were things in the newspaper that, you know, I read the newspaper as a kid, like quite young. And I remember when I was about 10 years old, I actually used to keep the top 10, you know, the FTSE top 10 of the FTSE, you know, 50, you know, and I'd track the prices and be interested in it. So I think that's where the kind of trading, or at least, you know, speculation element came in. But yeah, so I almost missed out on computing completely. I didn't do it at college until the second year, and I picked it up right at the end and ended up getting really bad, I think an E or something like that, because I tried to cram it in, and yeah, didn't do really good. And then went to do architecture at uni, kind of failed that. I failed that. I failed to go to class. Yeah, that's basically what happened.
That's one type of failing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a 40-hour week, and because it was architectural technology and design, and I thought, this is like, I came to uni to get pissed and like do a 4-hour week or something, you know? And so I just gave up, and then came back and then went into a kind of computing course, which ended up. So
you drifted away from computers into performing arts. So even though you started out with QBasic and all these things, drifted away into performing arts. I had the same kind of thing in college. I drifted away from video games. I stopped playing like PlayStation 2. I didn't play those, missed out on the N64, kind of this whole era that I missed because I just didn't play games. I thought it was more important to focus on school and that kind of thing. But even then, I got shaken out of the computer science program, so I didn't become a programmer either. But how did the computer change your life when you came back to it after performing arts?
Well, it was when I went to do my course. It was a three-year, you know, it was 3 years sort of bachelor's of science, and it was I actually found it interesting. You know, when we did a bit of binary. So I've got computer science. Sorry, there you go. I'm showing my naivety there. But I did pay attention, I swear. But it was, you know, it covers things like project management, systems, making, you know, driving efficiencies in systems and information management. So even a bit of SQL. Etc. And then, yeah, that kind of led me into business analysis, which pretty much was what I did, you know, during my course, which was kind of cool because I heard, you know, not a lot of other people were doing things directly in line with what they learned, and I actually was. So it kind of made my life easier at work because it was just almost a continuation of uni, but with you know, with a bit more hard work involved.
So you moved on into business development, and then how did you get into Bitcoin? When did you first learn about it? What did you do once you heard?
Well, so I went to as a business analyst. I ended up working at a finance company in London, and whilst I was there, one of my colleagues, you know, a good friend of mine as well, he just randomly one day said, "Hey," it was about 2013 or something. He said, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called Bitcoin?" And I said, "No." And he said, "It's really cool. You should look into it. I got some the other day." And he said, "From local Bitcoins, I think it was." And I kind of didn't really pay attention. I thought, I didn't really know what to think of it. And that's the thing, you don't know what to think of it in context.
Well, and you've been scammed before, right? You've heard of scams. You've heard of like get rich quick, the internet, you know, sneaky emails. You know, you're ready for a scam, right? I mean,
yeah, and especially something that's as vaporous, or at least in your mind is as vaporous as an internet currency that's decentralized. So, you know, you've got to get your head around, oh, so I can't shout at someone, you know, I can't, there's no one there to kind of go, yo, I lost my Bitcoin. And that was kind of hard to get my head around. But I ended up buying one Bitcoin off him. I think it was about $75 or something. And then I was like, I found out, oh, you can mine it. Right? And I thought, wow. So I threw my graphics cards in it. I just had a couple of 680s, I think, at the time. And I threw those at it and it did nothing. So then I kind of thought, well, you know, I've got to get efficient. So I started looking at miners, and I was actually going through the list earlier of the miners that I've had over the years, or at least tried to order and got stitched up. So it started off with the graphics cards. I got a Red Fury USB, an Antminer USB, ASIC miner, Blocker up to cubes. Multiple orders failed on the Butterfly Labs, the Monarch miner. and also one on Alpha Tech, which was good because Alpha Tech ended up failing. And then Flower Tech, which I did get a huge order in, or at least for me, I vaporized my savings and put nearly $10,000 into it. Ultimately, it was about 8,000, and unfortunately for that, they never existed. I think it was called the Lilac. It was either the Lilac or the Orchid. The good thing is I paid up on my American Express because on day one they let you do that, and I completely, like, a year had passed and everything had failed, and they then delivered. And then, my girlfriend said, why don't you just phone up American Express? And I was like, oh yeah, I'll phone up American Express. They gave me the refund on the day, but I benefited from an exchange rate difference as well. So I actually made money out of being scammed, which was cool.
That's amazing they took American Express. So many of these things, they get you to pay in Bitcoin because Bitcoin's one way and it can't be canceled. You can never get it back. The great thing about a legacy payment system like American Express from a consumer perspective is that you can get it back. From a merchant perspective, that's a nightmare. But yeah, in a case of a scam, it really works out. So you dodged a bullet there. That was pretty lucky. And also, it's neat to see how dedicated you were to mining, that you didn't just try one and stop when the difficulty went up. You got more and more. You were into that upgrade. And that was part of the problem with our home mining, is that we just weren't nimble enough. We really had to be upgrading every few months or even every 15 days. I mean, I don't know. We just had to start listing those things on eBay the minute they came in. I don't know. And we weren't that fast, and we only had a few machines. But like you're saying, if it had worked out, you could have doubled those machines and doubled those machines and doubled the machines. But what happened? Did the price go down? Did your electricity go up? Was there a fire?
So, well, it's funny you say that, and I'm just trying to find a picture of, well, it doesn't really matter, it's just a stack of miners. But basically, I then, after these, or in between these failed Bitcoin, attempts, Bitcoin miner attempts, although the Viper and the Alpha Tech and Flower Tech were script, I built a mining farm. And I say mining farm as in, for me, it was huge. It was like 40 graphics cards. I literally went out and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And so I all over the house. And I mean, you see my two dogs, they're on the floor, they're very floor dog like. And I had these like 5 machines, with cards, and then I kept on adding, and then I got a few more, and I had to section off an area. And then in the end, half the lounge was lost, and it sounded like it was, and it was incredible. And in the end, I worked my way up. And one day I came home. This is while it was still on the floor. And one day I was pissed as a fart. I came home. I was eating an egg fried rice. Had a bloody good night. And I walked into the lounge. I tripped on the dog. The rice just went like that. And obviously, basically, I didn't have them in cases. They were just literally, in boxes or anything like that. And what I did was I opened up a case and put it on its side, opened the case up, took the top off, and then put the cards on risers. So just in an ordinary PC case. But the rice flew off, it hit everywhere, like that, and it just like hit all the, it was terrible. Hit the fans, like there's so smoking, like fire alarms going off, and then that I got a stern telling off, and then I had to put it back in another room.
Wow, drop the rice everywhere. What a surprise. Totally unexpected. Did not expect that story. So did you survive the rice and the smoke alarms, or what eventually ended the mining, or are you still mining today?
Well, I went about 25% down on cards because of issues. So I had to RMA a load, but I did get more efficient in terms of where they were placed. And because my flat was a top 4 flat, it got really hot in the summer. So I had to get really clever with the airflow and things like that. So it kind of helped me, these problems you have, and they hurt, but you level up after, because one, you plan so that it doesn't happen again, and that helps you think about and mitigate other issues. And that applies to anything. I think anytime where you have a problem and you think, right, I'm going to try and solve this, you end up both trying to mitigate it with a preventative measure, and then also think more about the reactive measures and have those on hand. So it's like things like, I don't know, you have a little fire and then you replace your couch with a fireproof couch and you get a fire extinguisher. And the next time it happens, shh, and you're all good. But the third bit,
I think we see a lot of this adaptivity in the Bitcoin miners. I watched this other YouTube series, I think it was Digital Gold, about a Bitcoin miner, and they had their ups, and sadly the market's down. They had their downs. They had to shut down. They had a little warehouse. It was full of computers. They had to shut it all down, take them all out. It was a very sad story, but I think he's got a new video up where he's got a new job.
Yeah.
Because if you look at this guy and you look at what he learned by setting up this warehouse, by solving all the power problems, they described like they built a water wall. They had some cooling issues. They had battery issues, RMA and cards. Like you said, it's an organization. You learned a lot by
Yeah.
building crypto miners that you didn't want to learn. It wasn't the point of it, but along the way, I think you picked up a lot of skills. There's a lot that you can learn there.
Oh, but yeah, definitely, definitely, and it's that kind of, it's that what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So just going back very quickly to my third Bitcoin, I like telling this story because it shows the lengths I've then began to go to get more Bitcoin. And so my third Bitcoin, I can't remember what the site is, but I had to go on the site, buy euros with my GBP, buy Linden dollars with my euros, and then buy Bitcoin with my Linden dollar. And then I was like, yes, I've got my third Bitcoin. And I can't lie, I totally wasted away on shit coins. I know that at least I blew 2.5 Bitcoin, maybe even 3 on euro. Yeah, what caught me in on that one was that, like, they sent, there were the press releases from farmers markets. And I just thought to myself, if these guys are taking the piss, as it were, then A star for effort, and they deserve my money.
Euro, that's as bad as when we used to mine California coin. Never even came out, never even went on exchange, but I've got some California coin I could sell you at any time.
Still bagging it.
Yeah, bringing it back.
I can send you, and that was what was cool. I did some contracts on both on eBay, and then I think it was mining rig rentals. And so when I was mining sort of early 2014, I went skiing and I had my farm at home. Again, Carrie, amazing, my girlfriend, she would just go and flip all the switches and stuff and do stuff for me if I couldn't get it working. But I had TeamViewer, and I was literally on a mountain switching algos to mine, and I remember doing it, and it was the stupidest decision of my life. And I switched it from, I can't remember what coin it was, but I switched it to Flappy Coin, and then I did Flappy Coin for as long as possible, thinking I've amassed, absolutely millions. This is incredible. If this does a Bitcoin, I'm going to be a gazillion trillionaire. And even back then, I kind of look back and I think, how stupid was I to really think that you could just create this obscene coin called Flappy Coin and it's going to rival Bitcoin. But people still do, and they learn. And as long as you don't put too much in and you don't lose what you can't afford to lose, then
and growing out of that, because early on we were very tired of this coin and that coin and the new coin. You get burned out really quick. You see everybody get scammed. By the time Ethereum comes around, you're no longer looking for the next Bitcoin. But that next Bitcoin idea, if you went hard into Ethereum, if you went hard into EOS or Stellar or any of these other things that went up and then went down and maybe go up again, you could have killed it. So yes, Flappy Coin could have been the one. Who knows? Litecoin, hang on so long. Litecoin's been around this whole time. Even it being at 30, it was at 30 in like 2013 or 2014. It went to 30 and it went back down. And even during when everything was crazy up, there was a point where I looked at Litecoin, it was $4. And I was like, what are you doing, Litecoin? What are you doing at $4? And of course, I didn't ask it with money, which I should have, but I just let it sit there. And then of course it went to 100 or 140 or whatever it was. But yeah, it was crazy, crazy times. So how did you get from Bitcoin mining to Bitcoin wrapping?
Well, I'm just going to go through like really quickly because I want to talk about this story because I haven't actually talked about it a huge amount, especially in public, but it actually forms like a huge part of my story really in crypto, because everyone got hit by the old great crash of 2014, 2015, and but the kind of thing that really hit hard for me was that at the end of 2014, when things were sour enough. Unfortunately, I got mugged, and the fuckers like smashed the front 3 of my teeth out. And if that wasn't bad enough, the police, because I'd had a few drinks, I'm not gonna lie, I was drunk, but the landlord confirmed that I wasn't that drunk. The police, took the piss out of me basically, and and made out as if I was, they actually used the term like city boy with insurance. And I was like, nothing's insured, man. I don't, you know. And so it was a very frustrating thing, but I tried to kind of, you know, to press on with it. And I go through like there's
A silver lining.
yeah, there's a silver lining to this. But what I want to do is share some of the really funny and odd pictures. Which how do I share on this? Can I share my screen? Here we go. So share my entire screen. So right, okay, you can see this now. Oh, so this is how I looked after I got mugged. The teeth were pretty bad. This is a bit hardcore, so apologies. And yeah, it was pretty difficult. But the next day, I got some teeth put in. It was an emergency job, and it looked hilarious. Oh dear, wrong one. That was before they got fully removed. So I got this done, which was just hilarious, you know. And I saw the funny side of it first of all, but it really sort of, you know, started to bug me out because the dentist turned out to be pretty poor, and he was it took a long time to get sorted. And so eventually I lost all 3 teeth, not from the initial incident, but from bad dentistry because they didn't do the root canals properly. And that really bummed me out, you know. So I had to sell all my minors and stuff like that to pay for the dental work. And it was a bit of a difficult time, but I wanted to try and press on. And so I did. And what I did was, oh yeah, apart from there's me looking like the hillbillies in Waterboy. So then I started to think, how can I get around this? And I thought, I kept on breaking my dentures because it was weak. And I thought, I'm going to build teeth. And so I became obsessively building. I basically built teeth continuously. I made all these molds. And I built these dentures because I just kind of, I don't know, there was something that made me want to get past this, you know, and feel that I'd achieved something out of it. And I did, and I think I really evolved that. And eventually I got so good that when I went to Glastonbury, I was able to have a mobile teeth building kit because I kept on losing them. And so I built a kiln and I evolved this kiln. And this was kind of like, and there you go, there's the final job, I think. I'm so proud of that. So I would bake the teeth and then paint them up, etc. And yeah, really, it gave me a sense of kind of achievement that after all this had happened, you know, a lot of money, you know, lost in the great crypto crash and all that. And yeah, I kind of got around that with my kind of teeth building thing. So I wasn't sure after that. My mate came to help me out, and my best mate from the UK, who's now living in South Korea, and he came and kind of cheered me up and got me back on my feet, and which was really nice of him. We sort of hung out. We did a road trip just to get away from things, and it was an incredible thing. I really I'd lost all interest in crypto. I'd lost interest in everything. All I was doing was building teeth. But eventually, I got my teeth back, and I was really happy. And so I then had my last day at work at my office. You see the little Bitcoin sign there, and I liked llamas as well. And then eventually I went to go. I did my Bitcoin wrap to get back in the swing of things. I thought, right, this is my time. I've been made redundant, which was cool. It was a good thing. And I thought I need to stand out, and I kind of wanted to do something that was kind of a bit public as well, because I'd been scared off of it because of the kind of teeth thing. And I did it. I made the wrap, and I was really happy. And then shortly after that, I went to go to South Korea to surprise my mate as well. So I literally went to the place he worked and to kind of pay him back. He lived at the bottom of a hill in Cheonan in South Korea, and I missioned out there and just surprised him. And then we went on this sort of wild little trip, and then and then that was that. Then I came back to the UK full-time, getting into crypto, started working with, getting into kind of full-time crypto projects. I've been trading and stuff. I say trading, you know, I'd been watching, buying, and then holding and watching it day by day, and not really doing much. So I'll turn the camera. Oh, what am I doing? I'll unshare now. And is that done? Have I unshared? Unshared? Yep. Yeah, and so I started working for, and this is a long waffle. Sorry, have you got any questions about that? Because I just literally rattled on, and apologies. But I just wanted to get out because that to me is quite deep, and it was how, as well as being hit by the crypto thing, I got hit by other stuff, and you know, it was coming from every angle. and at the time I had no way out. I thought, you know, money wise it's terrible, everything's going wrong. I'd bought a house and the builders had basically left off with loads of my supplies and stuff, and it was literally awful. But I'm here and I'm happy, and if anyone else is like ever feeling down, just think that, yeah, whatever, if I can inspire anyone, and you know, and all of these things that led up to me being inspired to write these raps and to write these songs about how we do have the hard times, but we get over it with all these things. And if I can inspire anyone else to do that, if you're having a bad time, just, you will get past it. And yeah, it's tough, but you will.
No, it's an incredible story, Dan. I knew part of it because you told me you had the problem with the mugging and the teeth. I didn't know you were going to make your own teeth. That
Yeah,
was an interesting solution, and maybe a little preview of kind of that do-it-yourself attitude that led you to the rapping and also led you to the mining.
yeah,
Just that ability to take it on your own and just to create what you want to create out of the world, even if it is teeth.
yeah,
But yeah, that's quite an amazing story. I know a lot of us went up and down during the 2014 thing. I remember I famously, I didn't sell anything. I had you know, a little bit at the bottom, I had a little bit at the top, and then I was back to having a little bit at the bottom again. It was like, oh well, do better next time. And then as it happened this time, I'd completely forgotten about the past.
yeah,
So it went up, and I was fortunate. I sold a little, covered some debts. Of course, like everyone else, I wish I'd sold more and all that. And it's down now. And for all we know, it's going to go back up again, and we'll be up again at the top, and we'll be talking about how we were down and how we were up. And I think it's a really positive story because people have problems in crypto, like they lose money, or they, you know, got hacked, or they screwed up and they actually lost the money, or the value went down, or they sold at the wrong time, these kind of things. But you actually had real physical world problems. And I'm reminded of Chevy Chase in Dirty Work. He's like, you know, the problem with bookies, when they break your legs, you still owe them the money. And it's bad enough that they robbed you and they took your, you know, your iPhone, they took your headphones, they took all the stuff you had with you, whatever it is. And but then they hurt you too. And it's just like, it's not necessary. People are such animals sometimes. It also happened to a friend of mine, my roommate back home. He was shopping at, you know, not a very nice shopping center, and he went to get his bike, and it wasn't even a very nice bike. And he unhooked the chain, and somebody from behind him just slammed him down. And like you're saying, that teeth, that mouth, that hitting area, if you hit somebody in the head, you mess them up. And
yeah,
yeah, they took his bike and they took his groceries or whatever, and it was worth, the bike was worth $100 or whatever. It was no fancy bike, but they were kids or whatever. They wanted the bike. Never found him. No justice or anything. No kind of, oh, we'll catch him. And I mean, your situation, I know they tried the CCTV and they tried all the kind of video surveillance cameras that are supposed to protect us. But I don't think anything came of that either. So just these random bad things do happen to good people. It's not even, you know, it's not like you were karmically bad or doing horrible things beforehand. I mean, we like to pretend that that'll protect us, but no, this happens, and you just have, like you're saying, you have to survive through it. You have to redevelop that attitude of there can be good, there can be positive things, and like your friend inspired you and helped support you, and I think it's just an awesome story, Dan. It really comes together. And what happened with your rap? You did the first rap, like in that picture, it kind of seems like you had the side view. There was you rapping there. I remember seeing it. I think when it came out, I didn't know you, but you know, I see most crypto-y things. People send them to me, and I was like, yeah, that's a good rap. You know, sideways for some reason. But you know, so what happened? What happened next with the first couple raps?
Yeah, well, I kind of thought to myself, I've got to do something unique. And although, you know, I kind of went through a bit of a wave, you know, I had these emotions of leaving a place that I'd worked, that I'd absolutely loved. And it was a financial institution, you know, and I'd worked primarily in treasury systems. So there was, you know, quite a big link there between that learning process around the financial, you know, financial systems that kind of really spiked my interest in Bitcoin as well. But when I got made redundant, I thought I've got to do something that's kind of maybe not special, but just something that gets me noticed, because I wasn't too confident with sort of going up to people and chatting and, you know, kind of instigating conversation. You know, I'm great at like talking after you've got me started, you know, and it's difficult to get me to stop. But, you know, going up and being sort of, yeah. And I kind of thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if crypto's so small that I did this song, and every now and then I wouldn't need to go somewhere and say, oh, hi, how's it going? You know, and because I'm terrible at that, you know, and some people are really good, some people aren't good. And I just thought I need something else. And so I did the song, and I even tried to promote it in various ways. Like, for example, you know, on, I think it was 21.co at the time, because it was around May 2017. And I paid $5 to Barry Silver, and said, this was actually, in fact, that was my second rap. I think, yeah, it was my second rap. But I released 2 in short succession. But and it did work. That people did every now and then would say, "Hey, CryptoRaptor." But I paid Barry Silver $5, and in the end, he sort of retweeted it anyway and helped me sort of promote. And he went through and looked at my other rap, and he didn't charge me the $5 either, which was awesome. But it worked, you know, and now it's helped me out. It's helped me spark conversations. It's helped me meet people. And it's also just a release as well, because when the markets are crap, you don't want to be sat looking at Blockfolio. You want to be doing something constructive. Now, if you're a coder, that's building. If you're you know, an artist, it's drawing. If you're good with words, it's writing something. It's doing something creative in that way. And so I just kind of thought, I've got to harness this, and I don't ever expect to make a living off of it, but what I want to do is just keep on doing it for the fun of it. And so that if anyone else is feeling crap, they can watch one of the stupid songs, which is about, you know, me losing my 2FA and being locked out of Poloniex and the troll box going, and, you know, and all these sorts of things, and watch that and think, you know, this is a fun space. It's pretty bad at the moment for them, but it's a fun space, and that's, you know, you've got to try and find fun things to do when you're not feeling so good, and try and be constructive, and, you know, and flex those muscles, whether it's your creativity or coding or ideas. Just do something to kind of get you through it.
So it sounds like you lucked out and you got a lot of positive comments. Did you get any negative comments, and how do you react to those?
I'm terrible at negative comments. So, well, so the first rap I did, someone commented that my beard was very ginger, and they were mocking me on eToro. And so the next day I went out and bought Just for Men and literally dyed my beard and hair black. And then I even posted on eToro and said I can I posted a picture of myself and said, I've taken on your feedback. I can re-record it if you like.
Oh, nightmare. Who's a ginger now? Who's a ginger now?
It was a phase. It was a phase. No, I only did it once, and it was kind of almost a joke. I did it as a kind of joke anyway, to kind of think. In fact, when I did it, I was not offended, but I was like, oh God, you know, criticism. And I still kind of find it hard now if someone says something, but, you know, people disagree with you.
Sometimes they're right. Maybe I should get the gray out of my beard. I mean, sometimes they notice things you don't notice. Oh, I do have a little mark there. Oh, my ears aren't level, or whatever it is. It's all these. Sometimes they get you, but I don't know. It sounds like they got you pretty bad on the opening one there.
Oh, definitely. But I did think, how do you take something that's bad? You know, that's bad, especially something that's personal, you know, because as in not personal, as in it's my beard, you know. But I thought I'll twist around, and I did it for a joke. I didn't do it because I was offended. I did it almost to see if he would have a reaction and feeling sorry. I tried to guilt trip him, if you know what I mean. And so I just did it because I was drunk. I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. What if I do? You know, I'll make it jet black or something. But the problem was it took me. I put it on really loosely, so I dyed my face as well, and I literally had to scrub. I thought, you know, I thought this is a great idea at the time, but I literally it was all red because I'd gone all over it. It literally just looked like I'd been slapped around the face with a blue hand. So it kind of almost half backfired, but it helped me to deal with it, because it made me think, get a piece of criticism and do something funny with it. You know, use it against someone else. Like if you think it's unfair or whatever, and yeah, I think it's a good coping mechanism. I think, because you're going to get back, especially if you're in the public eye. I mean, I'd hate to think what sort of messages, you know, big, you know, people get, you know, especially when there's something political, especially crypto, for example. You know, you must really have tough skin, and I'm getting there, definitely getting there.
Well, you definitely get a lot more Nigerian princes and Nigerian princesses, all kinds of great people wanting to meet you, and you could send them the Bitcoin in advance, schedule the meetup that way. It's funny, as a man, I don't really dye my hair, so I'm not familiar with it. So in my mind, it's easy. You just spray it on and comb it out or something. But in reality, this is a very complex process that women go to specialists for, and specialists go to training and school for. And then people like you and me go to the store and buy a little pouch and barely read the instructions. And yeah, I think it ends up pretty badly every time. But yeah, that's a great way to deal with the criticism, make something new out of it, keep working. So after you made a couple of raps, I know you were working on Hotel Polynexia. How did you get all messed up with this World Crypto Network, Mad Bitcoins crew? How did that happen?
Well, there's I don't know if I can say his name. I know he likes to be incognito.
Mr. Invisible, yes.
Mr. Invisible. I don't think I can say it. Can I say it? Can I say it?
Mr. N.
I'll say it now. So it's an indie, and if I'm not allowed to say it, then we can.
I'm totally beeping that out later. It's gonna say it's Nindy, and it's gonna sound like a bunch of beeps, and then you're gonna say, "How did he do that? That's amazing."
Well, he set up these powwow groups, and they're awesome on WhatsApp. And there's like a Bitcoin one, there's a Bitcoin Cash, there's mining, masternodes, ICOs, there's conference powwows. So and then he's got this talent of connecting people. He's like the most connected node on the Bitcoin network. You know, it's incredible, and he brings these people together, and he spots these ideas, and he sees what people kind of need to he needs to hook someone up, someone needs marketing or something like that. You know, he's just amazing. He just knows everyone. And so I met him, obviously, you know, I actually met him in CoinFest in 2017, and that relationship grew from there. And then eventually in 2018, I heard that you were coming to town as well, and so there was a conference, and I think he mentioned that you were looking to sort of, you know, hang around in different places, and he said
crash on people's couches for free. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, cool, I can show him. I actually, first of all, I thought, yeah, cool, it'd be awesome to have Mad Bitcoins over. That's amazing, because, you know, I started to watch you, and I remember when I first started doing my research in around 2013, I started listening to the Trace Mayer podcast. And I think at the time it was I think I tried to go all the way back to Run to Gold, and then it eventually changed over. But I also watched your show as well, and obviously I was fascinated by the hat and the glasses. And when he said that you're looking for somewhere to stay, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I jumped at the opportunity, and then I suddenly thought, it's Southampton. It's oh god,
the most exciting place on earth. Come on.
Yeah, so I just thought, oh goodness. So it just so happened that because my mate who from South Korea also came to see me last year, and we bought a English heritage pass. And we did 2 weeks around the UK, up to Scotland and all sorts, all the way back down. And so I thought, great, we can use that pass. So obviously went to, you know, he came over and we went to a few of the local castles and saw some cool sites. I think, you know, I showed you some of the cool places around my area. Although, funnily enough, the castles we went to were in Portsmouth, which is a rival. But yeah, it was amazing. I sort of, you know, got to know you, and you're every bit as cool as you are on screen, you know. And when I sort of, you know, I think it was you interviewed me. I showed you Hotel Poloniacs at Hodl. And yeah, I think from there it was, you know, I just thought, wow, he's such a cool guy. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of expected, you know, because you've been around so long and you're such an OG in a very good way. I just kind of thought, oh, you know, he's going to be like proper G or whatever. But you're absolutely, you know, such a nice guy, so humble, and you know, and I think you've done so much for the you know, for Bitcoin and crypto, obviously mainly Bitcoin, and it's just an absolute honor to be, you know, helping you out here and there, and also to be interviewed by you as well. You know, it's definitely it was a turning point in my life. I think I just thought, wow, when I was being interviewed in Hodl and in the cloakroom with the old machines in the background and whatever, I just thought, wow, this is cool. I'm so glad that I got made redundant. Everything in the past, all the stuff with the mugging and all the house stuff that went wrong and all those things, the crypto bear market, and I just thought, I made it through. Wow, I made it through, and I'm doing something that I love. And yeah, this is just incredible. I'm just so happy for the last couple of years of, well, obviously going back all the way to the people I met on the line, but you know, I've been going to a lot more conferences and stuff recently, and just met some incredible people, and it's been amazing.
Well, it's been great to have you here, Dan, on the World Crypto Network. You've been helping out co-hosting shows. And of course, we did Lifestyles of the Rich and Blockchain in Malta. It was a really good time. We got to hang out and it's fun. I go to Europe and I need couches to stay on, and I've never been to these towns. So it's great if I have a local guide to help show me around. And I end up with a bunch of friends all over Europe, and it's really amazing how it worked out. And I'm thankful for Nindy, and I'm thankful for you and your girlfriend and everyone else who put me up while I was there in Europe, because I couldn't have done it without you. And it was always my dream to go to Europe. So it was really fun to get out there and to get to travel. So I think we're running out of questions. One more thing, anything planned for the new year? What are you going to be working on? Any projects you want to preview to the people?
Okay, yeah. So I have a few things actually. So at the moment, I'll go through a quick run through from. So when I got made redundant, I ended up helping a project out called Commerce Block, who I've got to talk about them because I really respect their technology. I was looking for stuff that was Bitcoin related. I knew there was an ICO craze, and I was kind of, I really liked that thing. But I also liked the, because I wanted to go also do something that's Bitcoin related. So I got involved in Commerce Block. They're raising funds via an ICO, but the founder had written BIP 175, co-written it. And so it's Nick Gregory and Omar Shibley, and they wrote BIP 175, which paid contracts. I thought this is a cool project. And I got involved with them. I was head of ops for the fundraising, and I've been following that project. So I'm still very much interested in what they do, and I'm always very chatty with the team. And so I'm looking forward to using their side chains, which are due out soon. So they've got Mainstay and Mainstay Protocol and Covalence Protocol, and there's going to be guard nodes and all sorts. So I'm still sort of very much involved in that project, not on the books, but just helping out from a tech perspective. I think they've got some cool stuff coming. Then after working for them, I started helping out a company called TripKey, and TripKey are now pretty much readying up. We're almost there to launch a hotel booking platform with 1.6 million hotels that you can pay for in 8 different cryptocurrencies. And that's done via Globy, which is Fluffy Pony's payment integration system, I believe. So we're just readying that up. And I'm also working on Reward Portal, which is a kind of bounty site. Just, I think it's a fun thing to do. I mean, I as community management for different projects, I realized that there was a requirement for like software that helped run bounties. So I'm working on that called Reward Portal. If you go to rewardportal.com, that's almost there. So there's lots of things that was building during 2018 and that they're just ready to pop. And also Tokenomics Hub, which is kind of around, so Reward Portal fits into that because it's just around kind of marketing, community management and engagement for crypto-based projects.
All right. Sounds like you're going to be really busy in the new year. A lot going off.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting. It's been, 2018 was tough. It was amazing in that I went to conferences around the world, did some cool things, loads of cool things. And now 2018 was a lot of the building, and 2019 hopefully is the launching and the doing, and the getting stuck down with a built product that's hopefully going to shift somewhat, multiple products. So I'm really excited about what this year is going to bring.
And a spoiler alert for the next video, we're going to try to get you on a trip to Las Vegas as well. So it should be an exciting 2019 for Dan Eve, the CryptoRaptor. My name is Thomas Hunt. This episode was filmed Wednesday, January 9th, 2019. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. Subscribe to the World Crypto Network if you haven't already. And this has been Proof of Work with Dan Eve.